You know, it's funny, I think a lot of people always say that you should collect what you like, and that's the number one rule, and that's true. But at the same time, if it's going to be something expensive and the money matters to you, then hopefully it's a good investment as well.
Giving up, thinking about you, baby. I think it's time for me.
My name is Court Gebeau. I'm a collector at heart, but also an investor. So I've always approached collecting from the mindset that it has to make sense in both categories. It has to be something that I am personally passionate about, but also see a financial upside in that purchase. This is my office. Got lots of collectibles everywhere. I've always been a collector, so the art on the walls, those are covers from one of my favorite comic book series called Low. The artist is Greg Tacchini, so I have a lot of his work everywhere. My day job is actually, I'm an agent for comic book artists. So I shop their samples to publishers, I negotiate their page rates, manage their deadlines and their payments. And on the back end, I sell their original art to collectors. And I've been doing that for almost 20 years now. It's sort of the perfect fit for me, definitely. It definitely plays off of everything that I'm passionate about on a personal level. Collecting and investing and helping to grow the careers of the talented next generation of comic book artists is a lot of fun. Yeah, my earliest memory of collecting, I have a couple. When I was about 8 years old, I discovered comic books and I was all about it. And I remember visiting a comic book store for the first time and paying above cover price for a comic book for the first time. And it was the first appearance of the Spider-Man with the black suit, which was Amazing Spider-Man 252. I paid $8 for it at the time, which was a ton of money when you're 9 years old. I also remember the first time I went to a comic book show in Ithaca, New York when I was 10. I didn't know that they had conventions for that sort of thing, and I was the happiest kid on the planet that day, just digging through bins of old comic books, seeing books I'd never seen before, old issues of Amazing Spider-Man, G.I. Joe. That's definitely the moment that set me on this path of being a lifelong collector. We have some guitar stuff just because that's a hobby of mine, and it's nice that the basement down here is big enough to support my entire business and also my hobbies, and my wife loves it because she doesn't have to see any of my mess. I always try to find something that ticks all the boxes. I used to collect art. I was in the contemporary fine art space for a while. And what I always went back to at that point in time was there is plenty of art that will look nice on the wall. There is plenty of art that is a good investment. But if it doesn't tick both of those boxes, I don't want it. So with cards, it comes down to, you know, the best player available, their best set, in the best grade, best parallel. I try to tick as many of those boxes as possible. And I think that every collector should strive to, you know, get the best that they can afford under those parameters. This is just a little bit of a representative collection of where I've been heading with my portfolio lately. Over the last year or so, I've been making a concerted effort to trade up and sort of eliminate the volume and focus on truly blue chip high-end assets. This is a card that I think is is pretty huge and pretty special, and a lot of people still don't even know that it exists. F1 has really taken off lately in the space, and what's interesting about F1 is that I think it's probably got the greatest disparity between the popularity of the sport itself and the supply of cards within the marketplace. They just really haven't made many F1 cards. Topps finally released their first Chrome issue last year, and prior to that, there really wasn't anything out there. So this is Lewis Hamilton's very first card. It's from 2006 Futera, which was marketed as a high-end product, and they only produced 40 cases of these cards. They were primarily distributed in Asia and the Middle East. To date, only 9 are known to be in collector hands, and this is the single highest graded example from PSA. Lately, female athletes have started coming into their own in the hobby, which is great to see. And I think it's easy to say that among female athletes, none are greater than Serena Williams. She's not just the greatest female tennis player of all time, she is very likely the greatest female athlete of all time. And in 2003, NetPro released a set that included patch autograph cards. The Serena Williams is considered to be a rookie card, and it's numbered out of 100, and this is the highest grade that's been given. There is a lone PSA 8 example, and then there are 2 BGS 9 examples, and this is one of those 2. This is one of my very favorite cards right now. It's been gaining a lot of traction lately as the perception of this card has shifted dramatically in recent months. I still think it has a ton of room to grow. As far as I'm concerned, this is Tom Brady's second best card, behind only the championship ticket rookie numbered out of 100. This is his first patch autograph card, and what makes it special is that the patch is from a game-used football from his first Super Bowl victory in 2002. What makes this card unique is that it's his jersey number, so it's numbered 12 out of 150, which essentially makes it a 1-of-1 for the issue. And jersey numbers have really been taking off lately as well in the space in terms of being treated as a 1-of-1. I've been big on Steph Curry lately. 2009, his rookie year, was sort of unique in the card industry because it was, up until then, Exquisite had been the premier brand for the coveted patch autograph rookies. They lost the license in 2009, but they continued to produce a set. And so there is a autograph issued by Exquisite. The base version is numbered out of 225, and they feature him in his Davidson uniform since they were unlicensed. However, these are the gold parallels. One of them, this one is numbered out of 30, and this one is numbered out of 31, so those are much tougher to find than the base version. That same year was the first year of the National Treasures release, which took the place of Exquisite in terms of being the premier patch autograph issue. There was a base Curry numbered out of 99, a gold out of 25, a platinum out of 5. This is actually the platinum out of 5, which is incredibly tough to locate. And as the market has progressed with exponential growth, this is also the type of card that I simply could not acquire on my own. So I co-own this with a good friend of mine, Lou Papa, and that type of arrangement is becoming very beneficial to acquire these types of blue chip assets while still having some, allowing for diversity.
Lou Papa, Court Gebeau. Hey, buddy. Welcome for joining me today. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
You know, looking back to when we first met, we were both sort of new to the re-entering the hobby.
Yeah.
4 or 5 years ago. We've talked about this on several occasions. It's getting more and more expensive to get the truly blue chip assets. We agree that, you know, the goal is always to trade up into the best player, best set, best parallel, best grade humanly possible, you know, to get the best of the best. And then you can, you know, dictate the market for an asset like that. But the way prices have gone, it's getting harder and harder to do that flying solo, right? So one of the benefits of partnering is that we have the ability to reach for the more unattainable assets, financially speaking, but also still allowing for the ability to diversify a little bit more, obviously, than if we were doing it individually.
And I think the other thing that was important to me was, just being able to bounce different ideas off each other. So like I felt like you brought a really high-end expertise into a multitude of other areas in the, markets into the space, tennis and soccer and things like that, you shared with me when you were first getting into it. And I was more passionate about doing something more heavy with Jordan and things like that. So, I felt like it would bring me out of my comfort zone, continue to learn a little bit more and acquire assets that I wasn't necessarily even thinking about, and what those opportunities could be. So, there's a learning experience as well, because what they say, like, if you're the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room, so I don't want to be in the wrong room.
And even though our expertise might be different, which is actually a benefit, our overall view and goals within the space are very, very similar.
Yeah, it all aligns the same way, no matter. It just pick your market. Where do you want to be? Golf, tennis, soccer, basketball, football, whatever.
Right. And then when we've gone into these bigger deals, especially like the National Treasure set, like the ability to bring PWCC in to help with the financing and the transaction itself and the escrow service and all of that has been invaluable. The PWCC vault is amazing. It allows so much flexibility in terms of transfer of ownership, your ability to borrow against your own assets to fund other purchases, which we've both taken advantage of. And for me lately, I think honestly, the most valuable service they've been offering to me is the ability to escrow a large purchase. I mean, buy a big, a six-figure card from someone in China that you've never met, that you've never dealt with before. How are you going to handle that? But, they can provide a fully insured shipping label to get the card into the vault. They'll invoice for the card, and then they transfer ownership. It's amazing.
Young drifting light, drift on by, shine on me, then pass me by.
Court, welcome to Las Vegas.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's good to have you here. Thanks for sitting down with me.
It's always great to have an opportunity to get together and talk cards.
It is. We are here at Vegas at the Mint Collective. We've got a beautiful view. We've got the pool party music pumping in the background. So it's setting the stage great for us to talk about some hand-selected items from our upcoming April premiere auction.
Let's do it.
Let's dive into it. So now I'm going to start to get it out of the way because I know where this is going. Okay, so we have a 2000 playoff contenders champ ticket, Tom Brady in an 8.5.
Deep breaths.
Right. Auto, 10 back at 10 auto, out of 100. And the reason that we're doing this one first is because you happen to used to own a BGS 9 that, correct me if I'm wrong, had the highest subgrades of any Beckett 9?
The BGS 9.
The
Yeah,
BGS
so
9.
it's Pop
Okay.
7, I believe. There were only two with the highest subs, and one of them was obviously better than the other, and that's the one that I owned.
Okay. Yeah, not a good decision to sell at that time. Unless
At the
you poured
time,
them.
It was a good decision to sell. In hindsight, it doesn't look so great.
Sure. Look, we've talked about this card before. This is like the premier Tom Brady card. It's numbered out of 100. It's one of the few numbered rookies of his that are actually in a Patriots uniform on card auto. So the condition of this card is brutal. It's super hard to find it in high grade. And the auto actually is very streaky, so it's actually hard to find really nice autos of this card. Great piece. We just sold one a couple of premiere auctions ago for just north of $2 million. So excited to see with the announcement that Brady's coming back, where this one ends up.
How great was that?
That was amazing, yeah.
This is not just the preeminent Brady rookie. This is the preeminent football card. All right?
Agreed.
In the football space, this is number one.
It's the GOAT.
And it's not close.
It's not close.
It's not close.
You're
It's a gorgeous card. I regret selling the one that I had, but to be fair, I acquired that very early in my return to cards, and I don't even think I adequately appreciated how special it was when I owned it.
Yeah. Well, the market's matured a lot. I think, with a lot more money coming into our space, we're realizing, which assets are truly special, right? Which ones are hard to get your hands on, which ones are the most desirable, and this Brady is at the top of that list.
I remember acquiring that card, and someone told me, this will be a $500,000 card soon, and that blew my mind.
Right.
And now where we are relative to that it's just astronomical growth.
Next card is, who's going to go down as the greatest shooter of all time. We've got a 2009 National Treasures, Steph Curry RPA out of 99, in a Beckett 9.5. Great 3-color patch on this card. The autos actually have a lot of issues on this card of going into the patch. This one's perfect. Just misses that bottom of that patch window. And the subgrades on this card are incredible. 3.95s and 10 surface.
Curry's legacy is established, but he's still young enough that he's got room to run. Like, who knows how many more, could he win another title, another 2 titles, another MVP? And what strikes me about Curry is that we can discuss LeBron in the greatest of all time, conversation, and that's justified. But in terms of a player that has single-handedly changed the way the sport is played, Curry's at the top of that list.
Totally
and
agree.
on top of that, this is the first year of National Treasures as a set.
Yep.
It's sort of, supplanted Exquisite in that regard when they lost the license. So
Right.
it's just an incredibly important issue in multiple ways.
All right. Next card. Here's a little bit of a homer play for me. Mr. Oregon Duck, now with the Chargers, Justin Herbert. We got a 2020 National Treasure Stars and Stripes Premium. So this is the out of 3 variation. It's numbered 1 of 3. Amazing auto. These cards they're beautiful. I love the design of them. The Stars and Stripes, the American theme on them. It's a Beckett 8.5 with a 10 auto. And, we actually talked off camera a little bit about this before, but a lot of these young guys that are coming into the league, whether it's NBA, NFL, whatever it may be, their autographs are trash. Like, let's just call it what it is. They're lazy. They have check marks as autographs or, individual letters. But Herbert, actually, you can tell that there's some care and some love that are put into the autographs when he puts them on the card.
Yeah, he's got a beautiful auto. And he's got probably the best arm talent in the league, arguably.
Yep.
There's obviously a crop of young, up-and-coming quarterbacks, Burrow, Allen, and Herbert, could be at the top of that list.
Yep.
I would argue that they lost this year because of bad coaching and not because of any performance issue. And they've made some key offseason acquisitions, and they're ready to compete. The cool thing about this card, as you said, the Stars and Stripes is amazing. The laundry tags are kind of fun. You've got the NFL shield and the Nike swoosh.
Yeah, that is cool.
And it's numbered out of 3. And it's one of those cards where, at this point, when it's numbered out of 3 and it's got a beautiful auto and a beautiful patch, the grade is secondary to the card.
Right. Yep, I totally agree. Yeah, it's a beautiful piece. I would say this is the equivalent of a Steph Curry for his sport. Mike Trout. So, we just recently sold a PSA 10 2009 Bowman Chrome gold for over $500K. Those are numbered out of 50, right? And this is a Beckett 9.5. The orange refractors, which are numbered out of 25. This one's quad 9.5 subgrades. It's a beautiful copy, great autograph, bold and blue. Serial number 18 of 25. Trout, statistically, it's kind of silly what he's done, especially for a guy that, he does have some injury issues. I mean, can you imagine if he has stayed healthy, since he came in the league in 2009, what his numbers would look like? It'd be kind of ridiculous. But he's one of the best hitters I've ever seen. He's a 5-tool player, and he's Captain America. He is.
And he's likable. Everybody loves him.
Exactly. That's
Great role model.
Yep.
I hope I get this stat right because I heard it a while back, but I believe that he was one of only 2 players to have his first 5 full seasons, 20 home runs, 20 stolen bases.
Really?
The other person on that list, Willie Mays.
Interesting.
So I was a big Trout guy very early on when I got back into cards, and I worked on the Bowman Chrome Rainbow. I got all the way up to gold. I never had an orange. I never had a red. Those were coveted cards for me. And I think we're at a point now where gold in particular has reached this status that the other colors just suffer to achieve, right? But at the same time, gold is not a jersey color for Trout. orange is twice as rare.
Mhm.
Why is there this massive disconnect? Like,
I think it's less in baseball.
Okay.
I actually think the oranges in baseball, they do carry a monster premium over the golds.
I feel that's justified.
Yeah, it is. And I think it's a little bit different in some other sports where maybe, because the golds are numbered out of 10 in some of these, newer modern players in
right.
basketball, whatnot. And maybe, the out of 5 variation doesn't, a black gold prism or something like that isn't as attractive as the out of 10 gold. But for these, only being 25 that exist, it's a really beautiful copy and example. And, I'm hoping that the Angels can figure it out and get to the playoffs this year so we can see how this guy, because if he actually performs in crunch time in the playoffs, I think it's just going to skyrocket the value of his assets.
It'd be great for the sport or in general,
100%.
especially with Ohtani on the roster.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
And this is not just a 9.5. I mean, it's true gem. It's got beautiful centering and a bold auto. I mean, it's just a great example.
It is. I have been waiting for us to sell one of these for a while. This is my favorite card in all of cards.
Really?
So my favorite basketball player of all time is Magic Johnson. So we have a 1980 Topps scoring leaders. This is a Magic Johnson and Larry Bird rookie card and a PSA 10. So this is only a pop 22. What I love about this card is you talk about rivals from the 80s. These guys were bitter rivals. In 1980, they were put on the exact same rookie card, and then you throw Dr. J in the mix, and it's just the history of this piece it's just incredible to me. And I love the relationship that those guys have now. They're closest to friends. And, getting this copy in a PSA 10 is brutal because of the cardboard stock that they printed a lot of these cards on in the 80s, just like the Henderson 10. It's brutal. So this is my favorite card in our market.
And deservedly so. And I mean, for a while now, it's coming into its own, obviously, but it felt like it was underappreciated for a good long time.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan overshadowed everything. Bird and Magic were both undervalued for a good while.
Yep. Still are, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely true. I mean, in my generation growing up, watching them play, like they were the best.
Yeah.
And it wasn't up for debate. And I mean, they both have established such an incredible legacy for their franchises, the two most storied franchises in the sport. To have an example that is this flawless is just, I mean, something to aspire to own. It's just gorgeous. It's a work of art.
It really is.
And as you said, I mean, having Bird and Johnson on the same card when they are rivals.
Yeah.
When they are rookies at the same time, when they played in the NCAA finals against each other.
Yeah.
And then you throw Irving in the mix. Like, it could have been anybody.
I know. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. All right. We're going to close it out with a very rare Jordan card that, the timing of this with tickets and how they've taken off is kind of compelling and interesting. So in 1997, UD3, this is the season ticket auto. These cards are extremely condition sensitive. So this is a PSA 7 with a 10 auto. And the autograph is bold, it's perfect. And these cards, I've seen enough of these where it's very difficult with the pen they used and the surface being a refractor like on this card to get a 10 auto. It's really, really hard. This is one of the more popular 97 inserts that Jordan signed. It's a great, great card. And condition-wise, there's one corner that has a little bit of white on it. A 7 might be a little harsh, but it's a great example. And like I said, it's one of his most popular autograph cards from the 90s, and especially if you're talking about one that isn't serial numbered, but it's super hard to find.
So I'm the first to admit that I'm not a Jordan expert in terms of his market. But this is one of those cards that I'm aware of, Like, I've seen it before. I've admired it before. 97, from what I understand, is sort of the sweet spot in terms of like Jordan inserts, in terms of desirability. That was PMG, right? That was the All-Star Game patch auto. Like, that was like the golden age of Jordan. And as you said, with tickets taking off as its own sort of collectible space, and I have seen so many flawed Jordan autos. Streaky, faded, both. To find an auto that is this bold and this clean on a card that has a difficult surface for any of us to write on. This is a stunning card. And I don't own any Jordan, but I might bid on this.
Okay, there we go. Awesome. Well, that covers it. Hey, man, really appreciate you sitting down with me. Great to
Always
see
a
you.
pleasure.
Great to hang.
Thank you.
And yeah, let's do it again soon.
Good deal.
All right.
I think across everything that I've ever collected, whether it was comic books, comic book art, fine art, Absolute Vodka ads, I was big into those in college. Quality is key. Like, you have to buy the right stuff. Like anything, whether you're talking about books or movies or music, and you say, you know, what percentage of books out there are truly great? What percentage of movies are really amazing? And it's like the tip of the iceberg. And as a collector, that's what you should be looking for. What's the best possible asset that I can acquire that ticks all these boxes that I'm looking to find? But the way that this market is moving, it's so fast now. There's so much white noise out there in terms of influencers who are going to point you in this direction or that direction. The best advice I can give to someone who's entering the space, look before you leap. Like, learn first.
Never even try.